What's up, guys? So I'm going to give you an update on the 4th Gen Procharged Camaro I'm working on. All the wiring in the rear is done. So this fuse box, relay box here, will be powering the accessories in the rear, which will include a fuel pump, the water pump, an ice box pump, and some rock lights. All that's done, wired up, tested it. All the buttons work. Everything is great. The one thing we ran into back here is this little guy. Is a 0 to 90 ohm, and the stock F body on the 4th Gen at least is a 33 to 270 ohm. So I put about a third of a tank of fuel in here, put some E85 in, and it was showing nothing on the fuel gauge. So I was like, that's kind of weird. I didn't know they don't make a 33 to 270 ohm in-tank deal. It's kind of crazy. Somebody should. They'd probably be able to make some money off of that. But anyways, once I realized we had, about a third of a tank of gas in here, and it was reading, 30 ohms, I realized we had a 0 to 90, which just means we're going to have to get an aftermarket fuel gauge for that. So we went ahead and placed an order on that. Everything else back here is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to clean some of this up. This is all just temporary, so I can kill my ground. I'm going to shorten the ground cable on this and get a better chassis ground. One tip I did want to give you guys, if you're doing any sort of wiring, looming, I use a nylon type loom for that with a high heat resistance. And then on all the wiring loom, I use a Tessa tape. So this stuff here is like a tape that basically just sticks to itself. The nice part about that, as opposed to using electrical tape, which you can do, it's fine. But once this gets hot on any sort of wiring loom, even if it's the plastic stuff or the nylon stuff, it just kind of turns to goop and gets really nasty. You can kind of see it falling off of, some of the wire looming as well. Over time, but if you have to take it apart, it's a mess. So I prefer using Tessa tape. This stuff seems to last better, and yeah, it's my preference. So once again, not much to see here, but we can get out of the car and take a look at everything under there. All right, so we're under the car now. A couple things I'm planning on fixing up here. Obviously, how this is all ran. This could be a little bit cleaner here. But you can see got a new other pack connector here on this water pump running here. So if I need to pull that off, we can just pull that connector there. Grounds ran up here, cleaned everything off. Got some rock lights back here. This was probably the best place to mount these on the F body. On this side, we got the pan-hard bar mount. It's kind of in the way. But this emits enough light further back here on the back side of the tire that you can kind of see everything. I ran everything up and over the radiator on the crossmember mount that was made specifically here for the radiator. So that's all fine and dandy. Fans are wired and stock fan set up here. So these are just extended all the way to the front of the car. These run up and towards the front. Other light here, and then fuel pump mounted right here, and we ran a short ground to the chassis here. Everything was ran on wire that's probably a little bit bigger than we need, but that's always my preference, is to run shorter runs and run as big as you possibly can to prevent any sort of voltage drop. So that's pretty much it underneath the car. I'm gonna clean up a chassis ground over here somewhere, just so that these are all kind of tied into the same area. Not 100% sure where I'm gonna put that at yet, but it'll be in this general vicinity. And then this cable will just run straight to the ground here. So that's all the wiring under the car. Next up, we have plumbing. So I'm probably gonna start with the ice box. I don't think that any of it's gonna be any easier running big lines from the front to the back of the car, but this might be the easier side to do. So we're gonna run a 90 here. off of the ice box, just because without, doing that down here, I'm gonna get a good angle on this. The bottom one basically runs right into the back here, with not much clearance. So we're gonna run 90s here to right about here. So run another 90 over the mini tubs, follow the seat line there, and then we're gonna use one of these guys here from Motion Raceworks, intercooler pass through towards the floorboard side. Haven't picked out my spot 100% yet, but once we get it through there, I'll show you what it'll look like in the engine bay. So then once we run our intercooler pass through the firewall, I'm not 100% sure where we're gonna come out at. Once again, I haven't picked that spot. I'm gonna get the car up higher and go from there. But it'll come right out. Hopefully we'll be able to come just under the engine plate here and right to the intercooler. Easy as that. On the other side, we'll probably end up coming out of the water manifold here, running it up and over, and back down through this little guy right here. We'll make an opening here, run this down, and not be able to see anything but to the rockers or into the rockers, and run it all the way back to the back. All right, guys, we're in the back of the car now. My random zip ties and stuff from mocking other things up, but I would like to try to run these lines on the inside next to the fuel lines there, but crossing them over is definitely going to be the challenging part, since there are some thicker lines. I could run them on the outside on the rocker. I just want to make sure that they're ideally not the lowest point, but I'm sure at some point they probably will be. So I'm thinking if I run them back and run them across, maybe towards the back of the car, it'll be safer if they're lower towards the back of the car than the front of the car, since the back of the car sits up a little bit. But back here, let me just zoom out a little bit. How this will work, this fitting here is probably going to get a 120-degree angled fitting to come up and over the panhard bar, over the axle, everything here. And the water pump side, I'm probably going to end up clocking this more. I was reading a little bit about making sure that these are pointed more upwards, just to prevent air from getting trapped and then making the system a little bit easier to bleed. Plus, this is going to have to go up and over the axle anyways. So this will go up, and probably be able to see just enough over here. It'll come up over here. On this side, we'll run it up over the axle, kind of Y them together before the top of the diff there, just so that we're not, potentially getting it pinched in the torque arm area, but up and over the axle there. And that's sort of my rough plan for now. Get the car up on my quick jacks, not just here on some little wheel stands, and then we'll be able to figure out the plan a little bit better. So that's what I got on this. Stay tuned. We'll have more updates, and I'll show you what else I'm working on real quick. All right, so this is the 6-liter LQ4 out of my car that had the issue with the bent rod. So the Gen 4 pistons, they have a different ring. So the ring size is different between the first ring and the second ring. So I got all new rings. I would have anyways, but honed the cylinders. So that's done. Rings have all been gapped. I did a 28 thou on the top ring and 30 thou on the bottom ring. I know a lot of guys go 30-30, or even looser than that, but that's what we're going to try in this engine for now. I got my rods all ready to go, cleaned up, and the crank from this car as well. I think it's filthy, needs cleaned, needs polished. Hopefully we can reuse that. So yeah, this is ready to be cleaned up, and once I get the crank polished and the rotating assembly balanced and all that ready, we'll start reassembling. So stay tuned, subscribe for updates, ring that bell if you want to see the updates live as they come up, and feel free to comment below. Thanks, guys.